Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of the Obscurity of Maximum Security with Kara Phillip and, most importantly, Mike Johnson. As you can tell, we are on location. We're here working on another very special project we can't wait to tell you about, but we thought this was a great opportunity to learn a little bit more about
Sallyports to start with. A Sallyport, like the one right behind me, is how a vehicle enters and exits an institution. There's another Sallyport on the opposite end from this one that you can probably see. All right. Now, this Sallyport was not the main Sallyport because it's too small to accommodate larger trucks. So what came and went through this Sallyport was basically a panel truck that we called the food truck. The food truck would bring 3 meals a day from the dining room in the main prison through the Sallyport here at the annex for the inmates in the annex cell house. There was no kitchen there, but there was a serving line. So 3 times a day, the hot meals were trucked across, and then, of course, the truck would come back and park at the loading dock waiting for the next meal. Okay, so the main Sallyport, located on the opposite side over there, is much larger. It also has a pit that runs the length of the cage before you enter the institution. It's all filled in now. But if you were working that Sallyport, you'd go down in that pit while the vehicles drove over you, the semis or whatever. Coming in, you're looking for contraband. Going out, you're looking for an inmate hanging off the bottom. All vehicles were shook down, coming and going. A semi comes in, the driver stays in that cab. Once he gets out and he gets shook down, and you shake down the cab of the truck, he gets back in, and we tell him, do not leave that cab. Do not hand anything to an inmate. So the semi would pull in, say it's got a delivery for the kitchen. It'd pull in, it would make a left on the other side of the yard tower and the Lewis building. It would back out and back up all the way, the rest of the way, and back into the loading dock at the kitchen. At that point, the inmates would come out of the kitchen, open up the back of the semi, and unload it. The driver stays in the cab. The food supervisor would come out and sign for everything. When everything was unloaded, he would drive out, go back to the Sallyport. If you're working the Sallyport, again, you would check the inside of the trailer, and then a guard would be in the pit as he drives out slowly. You've got the exterior gate locked. So if an inmate's under there thinking he's going to drop off and take off, he has nowhere to go. So it'll drive over you, you walk along, you check, make sure nobody's hanging off the bottom. Then they close that middle gate over there, and then the exterior gate is open and you send the truck on his merry way.
Did that guard stay underneath for 8 hours at a time?
No, he went down when there was a vehicle coming. If you're lucky, if you were the sergeant or officer in charge of the Sallyport, you were lucky if you had a second person. If not, you did it.
Okay.
And you would yell up to the Tower 6 officer, which had a control panel with buttons. You know, you'd say gate 1 or whatever, you know, and he'd hit the button, you know, close 1, open 1, you know. You'd yell it up. Some guys had a whistle and they'd blow the whistle before they yelled what gate they wanted open or closed.
Incidentally, somebody I work with now, I did ask her about the food because she works here and at Stateville. She said the food here was pretty not good.
Yeah.
We talked about that before.
Yeah.
Stateville, though, tasty. They are allowed to bring food into Stateville, but clear containers, because you know I'm obsessed with the not being able to bring your own food. That's my contribution.
It's understandable.
I think that's it probably for this episode. Thanks for joining us on the Obscurity of Maximum Security special edition with Kara Phillip and most importantly, Mike Johnson.
Bye.